It may still be the month of love, but today we're going to be talking about the 4th of July. Captain America, Brave New World. Sam Wilson, played by Anthony Mackie as Captain America, finds himself in the middle of an international incident after meeting with President Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford. He must soon discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's been very hit and miss. Pretty much a lot of misses. But I mean, they've had some good stuff, but I don't know. Are you a Marvel fan, Stephanie?
I am, kind of, somewhat. I used to be more of a Marvel fan. They kind of lost me after Endgame, you know, because that movie made me feel emotion. It was kind of like a good endpoint, and then they started doing a bunch of other crap I didn't really care too much about. I haven't really seen most of the movies that have come out since then. I haven't seen any of the shows, really.
I was a big fan starting in 2012. We only went to see the Avengers, and I kind of fell in love with the property since. Since 2012, I tried to keep up when opening weekend. Once it got to Endgame, yes, that was awesome, you know? After Endgame, we still had some good movies. I liked the Spider-Mans, but then they also had some that were pretty solid, you know, like Shang-Chi I liked. Deadpool and Wolverine was cool. But once, the Kang actor got fired, you know, instead of naturally staying the course and recasting and slightly reworking what they were going to do, they just decided to scrap it all together, which is kind of made this very frustrating because it's like they don't know what they're doing right now. Then any of the successes they've had recently with the multiverse, it's been mostly credited towards just the things that I've already liked, like the Fox X-Men universe and Sony's Spider-Man movies that I did like.
They don't know what they're doing, but they're sure doing it with confidence and a lot of money.
I could do a whole separate video on that, and maybe I will, but we'll see. So anyway, let's get back to this movie. This film, Captain America Brave New World, it has quite a bit of trouble during its production, with many changes made during the reshoots due to negative test screenings. Yeah, they just kept trying and trying to fix it.
How many, do we know how many negative test screenings they had?
I'm not sure how many. Most movies, they have reshoots, you know, it's not uncommon. What's uncommon is that here, negative test screening, we're gonna try to salvage it. Another one, we're gonna salvage it again. This one is actually a pretty recent development. There was a big Vulture article that just went out, and I guess an anonymous crew member, they talked about Harrison Ford. I guess he was a diva on set. He didn't like the motion capture suit. He was just very cranky the entire time.
I mean, I could have told you that. Harrison Ford is definitely just a cranky old man who's done. Don't understand why he's doing this.
You know, you should have seen this coming a little bit.
I like him as Indy. I like him as Indy.
And Han Solo.
I don't know Star Wars. Belongs in a museum!
This is a reshoot that, kind of baffles me. Giancarlo Esposito, he's a character called Sidewinder in this movie.
Oh, yeah, he's the one I kept accidentally calling Slingshot.
It's close enough, I mean.
Yeah.
So he's with this group called the Serpent Society, and they popped up at the beginning, and he sporadically pops up throughout the movie.
He was introduced like we were supposed to know who he was. Was he in a show?
No, this is his first time here.
He was really introduced like we were supposed to know who he was. Felt like I was missing something, because in the beginning they were like, oh, Sidewinder's there. And they're like, why is Sidewinder there? He shouldn't be there. I'm like, who's Sidewinder? Have we met him and I just missed it?
Sidewinder, the character, he was added at the last minute during reshoots because they wanted the tone to fit more in line with Captain America, the Winter Soldier. So they just added him in during reshoots. They just added him in just to make the tone more darker, like a political thriller.
Well, then what was the movie about before? Because he was a big part of the plot.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's Marvel's having such trouble grasping at what they want to do.
He was a big part of the plot.
Yeah.
What did they have before? Just the brain guy and the president getting angry?
It's very frustrating. That's what I'm talking about. It's they...
Because Sidewinder was used as he kept the plot going. He just kept popping up to be like, hey guys, this is where the plot is.
The scenes also felt like they came out of nowhere later in the movie. Because Sam's driving and then boom, a big fight just happens out of nowhere. Like, it felt like a reshoot. But it is ultimately the frustrating thing about this movie is that, like, they want it to be multiple things, you know? They want it to be this political thriller that is like Captain America the Winter Soldier. But then, like, they also want to have, like, these wacky, like, the leader with the really big messed up brain, and then the Red Hulk. It's very campy and schlocky, you know? You could still make a good movie from that, but it just seemed like them trying to make it like the Winter Soldier by including this one character at the last minute. It's just very sloppy. Why not plan it out from the beginning, you know? Or at the very least, if you committed to this thing for a while and you put so much money in, why not stick with it? You know? They even changed the look of the leader. In the beginning, he looked more comic accurate, but now...
Who, Mom?
The leader, the guy with the big brain.
Mom, from Holes.
He looked like he did in the comic. He had a really big brain. Then they decided, like, hey, that looks a little too goofy for what's supposed to be a serious political thriller type film. Let's just make his brain look like broccoli.
We want him to look like Mars Attacks.
This might be a hot take for me. I kind of like the weird, like, goopy brain look.
I know you like gross looking stuff like that.
Well, yeah, because, like, that's an interesting interpretation of it. I can understand why people are upset by it, and it's like, why not just stick with that? You spent a lot of money just changing it up. Hold on. We're getting a little sidetracked. Before we get further into this review, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Any help that you can give to this video or this channel will be greatly appreciated. Okay, so far we've been talking kind of bad things about this movie, just mostly bad things. We've been taking some shots of the movie, but
we're just stating facts.
What happens that the facts are negative?
there were some stuff that we liked about the movie, though. I thought the action was pretty solid. It's mostly centered on a guy that flies, you know? So, like, a lot of the action...
Yeah, we've never seen a guy that flies in a Marvel movie before.
It's a different type of flight. It's not just Iron Man again.
It's Iron Man with wings.
Yeah, but it's not like propulsor based, you know? It's like, this is a guy who's soaring. It's pretty fun. That's like one of the better aspects of the movie is how they utilize the flight. I did like the hand-to-hand fighting. I think we'll get into later because I think Sam Wilson and his capabilities are pretty inconsistent in this movie. Like, I thought the fighting was good, but it just sometimes takes you out of it because he's not a super soldier. Like, whenever Red Hulk throws, like, a flagpole at him, and he just, like, stops it with his hands.
To be fair, the wings helped him out.
Well, no, I looked at the clip again. He didn't have the wings. Wings weren't, like, blocking it. It was just, like, his hands.
Like, that isn't beyond the strength of an actual man.
It's the Wakandan plot armor.
Plot armor.
But of course, we're still talking about positives. I mean, I did like both of his sidekicks in the movie, like his new Falcon and Isaiah Bradley, the old Captain America. I just think the plot that they're utilized in, honestly, like the plot that all these characters were utilized in for this movie, it just didn't suit them. Like, it felt like a TV show. Like, I do like his sidekicks. I thought they were fun, you know? I just...
I liked the Black Widow girl.
You did?
Yeah, she was so cute. She's like all petite. She's just like going around doing Black Widow thing. I really thought she was a villain. They introduced her making me feel like she was a villain. And then so later she's doing good guy shit. And I'm like, she's a villain. Why is she doing good guy shit? You know, like I had like this whole perception in my head that ended up being way off.
As long as we're talking about characters, like Sam as the new Captain America, like he's got his own flavor and different things that he's bringing to the table, but I feel like he's still in the growing pains of being Captain America. Like, he's not fully there yet. Like, it just feels like this whole movie is just like, you're trying to get a side character to be the main character, you know? Like, the plot doesn't suit his transition into the new Cap as well. It's just kind of there. Like, I think he'll get better as time moves on, but just right now, this story just did not suit him as Cap.
I think it was a good story for him. I'm having trouble seeing him as Captain America rather than Falcon. You know what I mean?
No, it's because he's been Falcon for years. The thing is, like, this is how it is in the comics. Like, in the comics, he got the moniker of Captain America, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could talk more about it later on, but just my issue with is that the story that they chose for the movie, it just felt more like what should have been in a TV show. Like, I haven't seen the TV show. I'm just putting that out there. From what I heard of the show, like, it sounded like what should have been in the Captain America movie. Like, they didn't prioritize, like, hey, you know what? this is a movie story. In the show, like, they have him and Bucky taking on a group of anarchist super soldier people.
Oh.
Like, these are people who took the super soldier serum and they liked life before the blip happened. And while that's happening, they're kind of having conflict with a new guy that was appointed Captain America. Besides taking on these superhumans and dealing with the parody of Captain America, where does Sam fit in? How does he become that hero? Is he ready to accept that responsibility? That's a movie. I've heard very mixed things about the execution of it, but like, I don't get how that this movie was what you went with, you know?
They're just really getting on my nerves. They had something so good, and they're really just overdoing it to the point that even their biggest fans are starting to fall off.
You know, though, I guess, like, we could just jump into the mixed, because, like, that was kind of my mixed point. Just, we're into mixed now, you know?
We're into mixed.
We've been kind of all over the place with this review. I'm trying to keep it positive. Just seemed like, with this movie, they were like, ooh, we could have a Red Hulk fight. And then they built the movie backwards from that. We want this thing to happen, and so we're gonna make it happen.
Like, it really didn't. Especially, like, Harrison Ford was on the airplane, and Mom called him, and he was on the phone with him. And it was like this weird, sensual phone talk. And Mom is like, think of all the times that you've been angry and all the wrongdoings that have happened. And Harrison Ford is on the other end like, oh, no! And yet he's still listening, like, hang up. I'm like, what the hell am I watching? It's like the weirdest ever. The movie was just Mom trying to get Harrison Ford to turn into Red Hulk the whole time. I had so much trouble taking them seriously.
I guess while we're talking about Harrison Ford here, look, Harrison Ford, great actor. He's getting too old and it's visibly showing. He shows his age so bad in several scenes. I'm not ageist, but it takes you out of it, man.
When he turned back from Red Hulk, Doug remembers my reaction in the movie. When he turned back from Red Hulk, like, I'm not saying I expect every actor to be like ripped or toned or something. I didn't need to see that. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's okay. Oh my god! And Douglas is like, let's just move on. This has been a weird tangent.
And you know, I just think that...
Sorry?
What the hell was that? I think that's my belly. You know, I think we should probably do intermission here before things get too out of hand. We're going to be trying... It's Dubai Chocolates Red Velvet in honor of the Red Hulk. It's so stupid. I mean, it looks very pretty. Got all these stripes in it. Red in the middle. Clink it. Yeah. It has the consistency of a Crunch bar.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's got like little crunchies in the middle. You don't really taste the red velvet though. To me, it tastes like just standard chocolate. I mean, it's very good chocolate. I don't know. I'd give it just a standard 7 out of 10.
4.
A 4. That's rough. And so I guess we're just jumping into the negative then. We are acknowledging like the Hulk movie that starred Edward Norton years ago. Because Marvel, in recasting the Hulk with Mark Ruffalo, you know, they kind of ignored it. And it's only recently that they're finally making bigger efforts to be like, hey, you know what, it's canon. But it's getting to the point now where it's like in this movie, this Captain America movie, we're making it like a Hulk sequel. It's all of Hulk's villains. Just this doesn't feel like a Captain America movie. Like they didn't have as much faith in Sam Wilson as Captain America, and they have the Hulk, which they don't have much faith in either.
They're like, let's just make something out of the scraps. Like,
unfortunately, yeah. What are we doing?
I don't even remember Edward Norton Hulk. I wish I had known that I needed to know that. I haven't seen it since I was probably like 10.
And that's kind of a problem, though, with how little they've had Hulk be his own presence other than a side character for the Avenger movies. Like, you gotta, like, catch us up to speed here with the Hulk movie. Just make it a cat movie. But it's just ridiculous because it's like you have all these Hulk villains. This is kind of a decent Hulk sequel, but where's Hulk? That could have been interesting, you know, have Hulk and then Red Hulk face off too. Would have taken away from Captain America, but at this point, why are we giving Captain America Hulk villains? You're working backwards. You're working backwards to fight Red Hulk. This review's all over the handle, man.
Just like the movie.
I just feel that this movie, at the end of the day, it didn't feel like a movie. I felt kind of nothing walking out of it. Sam and friends, they kind of end up at the same place they were at the beginning. It's like, yeah, they go through some of this stuff, but it's like they come out of it relatively unchanged. Nothing has really been evolved. Like, Sam is still how he feels he is with Cap, you know, it's just nothing happens. Nothing really pushes forward. There's no consequence. This movie just felt really inconsequential, and I think that's the biggest sin of all. You look at these characters like Captain America from like his trilogy of movies. At the end of all his movies, he's changed in some way. At the end of all his movies, like, things happen. He changes as a character ever so slightly, you know? In this movie, Sam doesn't change that much, you know? He's kind of where he is. The only thing that changes is, hey, you know what, the Avengers? We should probably bring them back together. They really should have gave the TV show plot to this movie. This doesn't feel like a movie. It's enjoyable enough. I'm sure we'll get something decent in the future. I hope so, at least.
For me, it gets a 5.5 out of 10.
You know, I'm also gonna give it a 5.5. It's very down the middle. Marvel, come on, let's get back to normal, you know? Let's plan things out. Let's do something here. For this week's recommendation, since this movie is a pretty decent Hulk sequel, I recommend checking out the Forgotten Hulk movie, 2008's The Incredible Hulk starring Edward Norton. Well, that's all the time we have for today here on Film Stash. My name is Douglas Campbell.
And my name is Stephanie.
And if you excuse us, we're gonna add to the stash.